Books, books. I like books. I'm gonna read them all. Hi readers, Chris here. Welcome to my channel where I talk about fantasy, Stephen King, all sorts of books, and tonight I'm going to be doing a review / rant about Immortal Longings by Chloe Gong. This book is classified as an adult fantasy, and it's actually the first book that I got in my Owlcrate Adult Fantasy box. Some of you may remember I have canceled my YA Owlcrate Book Box books, but I am still doing the adult version. Unfortunately, it doesn't come with any goodies right now, just the book. I've been liking those better, but this one I struggled with. And I'm saying review / rant because it's very easy to rant about a book when you don't like it at all and there's a lot of problems with it and it's just not your cup of tea. But that's not what happened here. This book has so many cool ideas in it and so many good things I think going on, but they're just not well executed. So to me, that's even more frustrating because I feel like I see how good this book could have been, but unfortunately it just didn't get there for me, and I'm going to tell you why. So this story centers around 3 main protagonists, but really the main one out of those 3 is Princess Calla. Young Princess Calla is living in exile in her city because there was this crazy massacre that happened years ago. Her parents are dead, and now she's kind of in hiding because of what happened during that massacre. And long story short, her and our other 2 main characters are entering these games that the city holds. I think it's every year, every few years. And in these games, it basically takes place all throughout the city. I think there's up to 100 people that can enter at once. And basically, it's kind of like a Hunger Games situation where they all try and kill each other, and at the end, you get this big prize, and part of that includes FaceTime with the tyrant of the city. Because, yeah, the whole thing is that there is this evil tyrant king, and the people in this city are being oppressed by this guy, and the princess is I'm gonna win these games, and I'm gonna face the king, and I'm finally gonna get revenge and save the city. And the other 2 protagonists, one guy, his name is Anton. I always get them confused because their names sound very similar, but one of them is basically also an aristocrat who's also trying to take down the king. And then this other guy, his girlfriend is in a coma in the hospital, so he wants to take his winnings to help save her life, also take down the king. So that's basically all you need to know about the character's motivation. But the big thing that makes this world special is that everyone has the power to do what they call jumping, which is basically where you can jump out of your body and inhabit another body. Call it body snatching, call it whatever you want, but basically everyone has the ability to jump into bodies. Now there are a lot of rules around how that works and yada yada yada, but you don't really need to know that. All you need to know is people can jump bodies. So let's start with what I liked. And I do like the whole setup of this book. First of all, the whole jumping bodies thing, I think is really cool. I think that's a really cool thing. I feel like I've seen similar situations in fantasy, sci-fi, but I've never seen it done quite the way that it's done in this book. So I thought that was really interesting. It did cause me to have a lot of questions, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But overall, I really liked the concept, and I thought that was really cool. Number 2, I'm a huge fan of the Hunger Games. A huge fan of the Hunger Games. So because there is this Hunger Games type contest going on, I was yeah, I'm in. That's really cool. And I do love how brutal the book is when you legit have to kill people to advance through the contest to get to the end. It is all about murder and death and who can kill the most people and avoid being killed. And yeah, the book gets pretty brutal at times. And, you know, because I tend to like darker stories, I did like that. Now, where the book fell apart for me, unfortunately, is A, some of the characters, and then B, as I mentioned, some of the ideas that this book puts forth, I don't think really work. So let's start with the whole jumping thing. And here's where I'm going to get a little ranty. But as I mentioned, on the surface, like surface level, I think the whole concept of jumping between bodies is really, really cool. And early in the book, so this is, you know, right before page 100, the characters are talking to each other, talking about, you know, jumping between bodies. And basically, the one character mentions that, like, she doesn't align with a specific body type, male or female, and that even though she's wearing a woman's body, like, you know, who she is on the inside is just Calla. She's just Princess Calla. She's just Calla, and like the body doesn't matter. And I thought that that was a really cool concept and a really interesting way to approach the whole conversation about gender. Like, it doesn't matter what your physical body looks like, it's what's on the inside that matters. But then our main character, like, she never jumps bodies. She never changes bodies. So, like, you're saying it doesn't matter, but then you're doing everything you can to protect the body that you have. So I'm like, why say that if you're not gonna, like, go there? The book never goes there. In fact, in general, I would say none of the characters ever really change genders when they switch bodies and when they jump bodies. So, like, you're saying it's not important, but clearly it is. Otherwise, the characters would be making different choices. Am I reading too much into this one paragraph out of this whole book? Probably, but like, it really just made me think because I was looking forward to exploring that in the book, and then it never happened. Now let's talk about the characters themselves and their motivations. So like I mentioned, there's this guy, Anton, and like his whole motivation, his whole driving force, his passion, the thing that keeps him going is that his childhood sweetheart, his love, is in this coma. Like, the emperor, the tyrant king, has made it like impossible to get the level of medical care that she needs. So everything he's doing, entering the games, is all for her, to save her. However, at one point in the book, that changes, and it changes very quickly. It changes very quickly. And I found that really off-putting. Like, there was no suggestion that, like, maybe he was just going through the motions, maybe he was tired, maybe he didn't love her as much as he thought she did, being in a coma all this time. The book never says any of that. It's just all of a sudden his motivations kind of flip, they change, and he is very easily, like, swayed in his convictions. And I was just kind of like, I don't know, that felt a little strange to me. And then let's talk about Princess Calla. Now, I can't say too much about her character without giving spoilers away, but let me just say that her motivations sometimes I personally could not connect with. Calla is a very violent character. We find out that she's had a very violent past, and then she also, you know, she's in these games, she's killing people, yada, yada, yada. Not once in any of these killings, murders, any of that happens, she never once questions it. She never feels remorse. She never questions whether she should take a life or not. It, like, never crosses her mind. So I don't know, I'm really turned off when, like, someone can't even stop for like 2 seconds to think if that would be a good idea or not to end someone's life. And there are some rumors about her, let's say, And I spent half the book thinking like, oh, I'm sure those rumors aren't true. She was misunderstood. She really didn't do this terrible thing that people think she did. And it's like, actually, she did do those terrible things. She doesn't feel bad about it. Maybe she had a reason, but again, the book never explores what it would take for someone to get to that point that they think that killing is the only option. The book never explores that. So all I see is a girl who just goes around killing people and thinks absolutely nothing of it. And I personally just could not connect with that. And finally, the last thing I could not connect with was our antagonist, King Kasa. This is a case of show, don't tell. If you're not familiar with that phrase, it's used a lot when it comes to movies and TV shows because, like, you're supposed to show what actually happens, just not have someone tell you what happens. And I feel like the same can be true in a book. As an author, you have a choice. You can explain something that happens through a monologue, through a flashback, or you could let your readers see it unfold on the page. And we are told all of these things about King Kasa, about how horrible he is and all these terrible things that he's done, but we only get that information through Kala's point of view. This guy is like barely in the book. He barely makes an appearance in the book. Like, there were times reading this book where I'm like, maybe he's not even that bad. Like, I don't know, because I don't know his character. I only know what Kala is telling me, and because I already couldn't connect with her over her killing of people, I'm like, maybe he's not really that bad. Like, I didn't know. And I think that's a big problem for a book. Again, you could take the, like, faceless villain, like, that could be your thing, and I think there's ways to do that and do that well, but that is not what this book did. King Kasa is not meant to be a faceless villain. He is meant to be this tyrant king, but again, we don't really get to know him. We're only told how bad he is. We're never really shown it. I mean, like, a little bit, but yeah, I thought that was a really strange choice. I'm someone, I love a good villain. I love villains so much. And yeah, this one just did not do it for me. Okay, I don't think that was too ranty, but I really want to talk about spoilers right now. I really want to talk about spoilers. So, if you don't want to know anything about this book, if you want to, you know, read it and then come back, you can do that. So, if you want to leave, thank you so much for watching. Have a good night. Happy reading. If you don't care about spoilers and maybe you don't plan on reading the book ever, then let me just share a few more thoughts. Okay, so I just want to expand on some of the things that I was talking about earlier. So let's start with Kala, Princess Kala. So we find out early in the book that she killed her parents, and I was like, oh, she probably didn't actually kill her parents. Like, who would kill their parents? Like, that's crazy. Then we find out she actually did kill her parents, but then we find out that she's not actually Princess Kala. She's not Princess Kala. She is a girl from a village whose village was destroyed by evil King Kasa. She invaded the princess's body and she has never left. So again, she's gone on this killing spree for vengeance and revenge. And again, like, those things are so, like, they can be so complex and nuanced, and I feel like this book just doesn't do it. It's so, like, it's just a simple revenge tale, and I feel like there's nothing deeper than that, and that's just kind of sad, because I feel like there's so much opportunity for someone who is so distraught, so down, that they feel like this is their only option. I never got that from Kala. All I got from her is, I'm gonna get revenge and kill this guy just like I killed these, you know, fake parents. And we don't even really know about these parents. Maybe they were innocent. Like, who knows? We don't know. We don't know because we're only getting Calla's point of view. And it's just, yeah, I thought those were really bizarre choices and they did not work for me. And then again, her romance with Anton happens so quickly. They go from being enemies to lovers so fast. And I feel like Anton just completely like abandons his love, his sweetheart. And it made no sense to me. Like, again, I think there's ways you could have done that, right? We could have seen Anton struggling. Like, she's been in a coma for like 5 years, and even though he thinks he still loves her, maybe he's just going through the motions. But the book never goes that deep. I guess that's what I want to say. Like, I feel like everything in this book is just surface level. The villain, surface level. The characters, surface level. The jumping between bodies, surface level. Everything is surface level. So by the time we get to the end of the book and, Calla wins the games, like, I don't know. Again, it just kind of felt like, wah, 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 like, okay. Like, what's going to happen to this city when, the king is killed now? Like, is she going to take over? Is she going to be able to do a better job? Like, who else has experience running an entire city? I think 2 cities in this case. Like, that's never mentioned. Like, they only talk about killing this guy and not what happens afterwards. Again, surface level. There's no thought put into all of the details going on around. So, yeah, okay. Now I'm sounding a little bit ranty, so give me a minute while I rein it back in here. Reining it back in because I do want to end on a positive note. I'm not here to bash this book. Like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, there are things in here that I liked that were interesting. Yes, it makes it a bit almost more frustrating that there were things that I liked that didn't pan out. All I can hope is that, Chloe Gong, I know she's written some YA stories before, and I hope that if she continues to want to do more adult, that she actually makes them more adult, more deep, more nuanced, more complex. Talk about adult topics, like talk about these things, make them deep and complex. Like, you gotta go deeper. You gotta go deeper. So yeah, I guess that would be my final rant, my final statement here. Go deeper on characters, deeper on world building, deeper on themes and topics, and I think there could be something really successful in the future. So that is it for me today, and Miss Lola, who's being a little camera shy. And now that I'm covered in fur, now I want to know from you, have you ever read Immortal Longings? Have you read any of Chloe Gong's other books? Were you a big fan? Were you not? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments section below, and as always, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you're not already, please subscribe to my channel for more bookish stuff and more furry friends coming your way soon. All right, everyone, happy reading.